billion in indirect costs. Then carpal tunnel syndrome comprises 13% of all workplace injury. We will get there and describe what carpal tunnel syndrome is. Then women outnumber men, ratio 3-1 in sustaining carpal tunnel syndrome. All right. We want to look at the benefit of an ergonomic program. Number one, it increased efficiency at work. It increased efficiency at work. Don't forget, we said ergonomy is the science, or let me say the fit in between the work, the environment, and the worker. The work, the equipment, and the worker, the environment. So when office is well planned and everything is well structured, what are the benefits? Number one, it increases the efficiency at work. Number two, it increases the physical well-being of the worker. Number three, it increases the employee's morale. When there is good health, when the office is safe, when everyone is, the environment is safe to work in, the morale of employees will be increased. That it decreases absenteeism and turnover. Absenteeism and turnover will be drastically decreased. People will not absent themselves from work. And of course, it decreased injuries, illness, and workers' compensation cost. So what are the examples of workplace injuries? What are the examples? Number one, we have strained lower back by pulling file cabinet out of box. Sometimes when you want to put cabinet out of the box, when you are not well seated or well positioned, you could have a strained lower back. Okay. Number two, we have repetitive stress injury. Your shoulder. When the working station is not good, when it's poor and it's not properly set up. Hello? 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 Can someone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
It's all right. I had. There's a noise coming from somewhere. Okay. Then we have electrical shock. Wow. What's going on? Okay.
Please go ahead, sir. Somebody's mic was open. One and a match on Onyinye.
Okay. We have an electrical shock picking up damaged power strips when power cable that is damaged is picked up. It could cause electrical shock. Then we are
Hello, sir. Please, can you kindly unmute your mic?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead.
It's all right. We have punctured foot, step on bolt protruding out. When a protruding, like a bolt or a surface, floor surface, is there is a protruding coming up, and when such worker does not wear, any worker that will not wear his boot, safety boot, might have his feet punctured. We have punctured hand. That one can come through cordless drillings when that one slip off screw. Then we have sprained ankle, which can come as a result of slip and fall on slippery surfaces. Then we have injured neck, shoulder, arm, or hand, which can come as a result of slip and fall over phone call. Okay. I have a background voice. I don't know where that is coming from. It's all right. I also have, so then we have an injured neck that can caused by it, by the falling of unplaced, or not well placed toolbox. Oh. That, what are the common cause of most common injuries? What are the cause of most common injuries in workplaces? Number one, we have straining the body. When lifting, reaching or stretching, the lower back is at special risk to injury. When you are not well positioned, when about to lift, or you are about to reach something or someone or somewhere, or you are stretching, it's possible for the lower back to be at a very special risk. Then number two, we have been hit by a moving, falling, or striking of an object. When an object falls from up when not placed well, then such an object will cause injury on the head, on the fingers. Then eyes can be affected. Our feet are also vulnerable to all these accidents. Then we have slips, trips, and falls. These injuries are among the most costly and painful. They are hazard on any job, and preventing them requires good safety sense. Okay, then we have been exposed to hazardous chemicals. Exposure to hazardous chemicals can threaten health and safety. Then we have hearing loss, which can come as a result of noise and so much of noise in a workplace. Then we have eye damage, which also can come as a result of exposing our eyes to flashing liquid or to metal or heat or light. For example, like the welders, whenever they are doing their welding, it's advisable to wear an eye goggle to prevent eyes being damaged. All right. So we want to describe ergonomic related injuries. Number one, we have cumulative trauma disorder, CTDS. Cumulative trauma disorder. Then we have repetitive stress injury. Repetitive stress injury. Then we have repetitive motion injuries, RMIS. We have musculoskeletal disorders. That we want to now look at them in details. MSDs can affect muscles, tendons, nerves, joint, and spinal cord. The first of it is tendonitis. Tendonitis. What is tendonitis? It's an inflammation of a tendon. It happens when a person overuses or injures a tendon. When you overuse your tendon, then there's possibility of you having pain at the back of your palm, as you can see. It's called tendonitis. Then we have tennis elbow. Tennis elbow. Tennis elbow is a painful condition that occurs when tendon in your elbow are overloaded. When tendon in your elbow are overloaded, for example, if you place your hand on a table and you rest your shoulder on that hand, there's possibility of your elbow to have a kind of a pain. It is a painful condition that occurs when tendons in your elbow are overloaded, especially by repetitive motion of the wrist or arm. Then we have strains and sprains. Strains and sprains. A sprain is the injury. Okay, let me put it this way. Two of them are not the same. Strains, or let me say sprains, injures the band of tissue that connect two bones together. It's an injury you have within the band of tissue that connect two bones together. But strains involve injury to a muscle or band of tissue that attach a muscle to the bone. One is a pain that happens to tissues that connect two bones together. Another one is a painful experience you have between, in a tissue that connects a muscle to the bone. Then we have thoracic outlet syndrome. Okay, it's a group of disorders that occur when blood vessels or nerves in the space between your collarbone and your ribs are compressed. Now look at this. I don't know if somebody can see my slide. Can someone see my slide? Hello? Hello? Okay, thanks. All right. Okay. Okay. Oh, excuse me. I think okay. Oh, there is a little problem. Just give me a few minutes, please. I don't know what's going on. Oh, please permit me to reshare my slide. I think it's not going back. It's not going back. Okay, is that right? Then we have carpal tunnel. Carpal tunnel is also called median nerve compression. It is a condition that causes numbness. Numbness when you feel blood is not flowing through your nerves. When you feel there's a kind of tingling in your hands. This also happens most times when we wake up in the morning. When you overstress, when you put pressure on your median nerves, it's called carpal tunnel syndrome. Then we have neck and back. Then we have neck and back. We have bursitis. Bursitis. This is a painful condition that affects the small fluid-filled sac called bursae. Then we have trigger finger. It's a painful condition that makes your finger or thumb catch or lock when you bond together. I don't know if that has happened to anyone before. At times you feel your two fingers or three lock up together, and in order for you to separate them, you'll be having pain. Has that happened to anyone before? Can somebody confirm if he or she has experienced such before? It has happened to me. Okay, it has happened to me several times. Okay, Mr. Brown Michael. Okay, please, can you give me time till I get to a spot? Then I will call for question. Then, okay, we want to explain the risk factors and causes of MSDs. The risk factors and causes of MSDs. All right, thank you. The risk factors and causes of MSDs. Number one, we have there are various conditions. Number one of it is there are various conditions or circumstances that increase the chance of developing musculoskeletal disorders. There are various conditions or circumstances that increase the chances of developing musculoskeletal disorders. Don't forget we said earlier that MSDs, musculoskeletal disorder, are the main workplace illness we experience. The number two, the likelihood of developing an injury is dependent on the frequency and duration of exposure to risk factors. The likelihood of developing an injury is dependent on the frequency and duration of exposure to risk factors. Then the third one, both occupational and personal risk factors can affect an individual's well-being at work or at home. Both occupational and personal risk factors can affect an individual's well-being at home or at work, meaning that our exposure to risk in our workplace is a factor that can affect our well-being even at home and in our workplace. All right. We want to look at the risk factors and the causes of MSDs. We have the repetitions, we have force, we have awkward postures, we have static postures, we have contact stress, we have temperature extremes, we have vibration and psychosocial. Let's look at them one by one. Repetition. This occurs when the same or similar movements are performed frequently. When you have repeated way of doing things or sitting down or movement, there's possibility of you having musculoskeletal disorder. So when you have similar movements and they are performed frequently, when this occur, is a factor, is the risk factor and causes of MSDs. Then we have repetition that can occur when different tasks are performed, if those tasks have the same movement. Injury may also result from repetition when tissues do not have adequate time to recover. When tissues do not have adequate time to recover, MSDs can also come up. We have force. Force is the amount of physical effort required by a person to do a task or maintain control of tools or equipment. When force is exerted on a particular object, it could cause musculoskeletal disorder. Then a pinch grips produce 3 to 5 times more force on the tendons in the wrist than a grip with the whole hand. A pinch grip produces 3 to 5 times more force on the tendons in the wrist than a grip with the whole hand. Is all right? With use of excessive force, the muscles contract much harder than normal. This can lead to stress of the muscles, tendons, and joints. Then we have awkward posture. An awkward posture is a deviation from the neutral body position. An awkward posture is a deviation from the neutral body position. When your body position is not, when you are not standing or sitting well, this is an awkward posture. It could cause musculoskeletal disorder. A neutral body position is the safest and the most efficient position to work. We are going to look at that as we progresses. Awkward posture puts stress on muscles, tendon, and joint. Okay, then we have static posture. Static postures occurs when one position is held for a prolonged period of time. When a posture is held for a long period of time, then it can cause a musculoskeletal disorder. The muscles become fatigued from a lack of blood flowing through a static posture. Okay, then this fatigue can lead to discomfort and even injury. Then we have contact stress. Contact stress is caused by any sharp or hard object putting localized pressure on a part of the body. Contact stress will irritate local tissues and intervene with circulation and nerve function. When there's a piercing, when our body has contact with a sharp object or a stressful object, it could cause musculoskeletal disorder. We have temperature extreme. When we are exposed to so much temperature in our work environment, whether heat or cold, it can place stress on our tissues. Extreme cold constrict blood vessels and reduce sensitivity. That is why when you put your hand in a deep freezer or just allow it to stay for a long period of time, you discover that sensitivity, you don't be feeling sensitivity. There'll be a slow flow or stop flowing of blood to that part of body. So when we are exposed to too much of cold, it could cause musculoskeletal disorder. Of course, and when we are also exposed to excessive heat, it can result in fatigue and heat stress. Then we have vibration. When we are exposed to vibration in our workplace, it can also cause musculoskeletal disorder and occupational illness. Then we have psychosocial issues, stress, boredom, burnout, job dissatisfaction, and anxiety can contribute to possibility of developing MSDs. Psychosocial issues can create increased muscles, tension, and reduce a person's awareness of work technique. So we want to explain what office ergonomics is. Now, let's look at this diagram. We want to analyze it. But before then, ergonomic principles can be applied to the office setting in order to minimize risk. Okay? It can, in order to minimize risk factors, increase productivity, and to improve the overall workplace quality. Ergonomic principles can be applied to the office setting in order to minimize risk factors, increase productivity, and to improve the overall workplace quality. The workstation must be adjusted to promote a neutral position while a person works. When adjusting a workstation, keep in mind that all the equipment interact, making one adjustment may alter another. Now, let's look at this man, this young man here in our diagram. Now, we talked about people worked on computer system when we started. In most offices, this this working on a system is common to most offices. So when we are on a system working, how do we sit to avoid musculoskeletal disorders? Then this position will help us a long way. When we look at the picture, number one, our back must be erected. The man we are seeing in the picture is seated at angle 90, angle 90 degree. Then his legs also is at angle 90. I mean, having a picture of H, small letter H in mind. So when we are walking, number one, our head must be straight up. We must put our head up on system. Our shoulder must be relaxed. Then our back must be erected and supported. Our back must be erected and supported. And we shouldn't rest our back when working on system. All right, it must be erected and supported. Then our eyes must look forward to what we are working on. Then look at the position of his hand. If you look at it, the shoulder is not resting on the elbow. The shoulder is not resting on the elbow as we have it discussed earlier. So hands in line with the forearms, they must be together. Then the materials he's using to work must also be put somewhere not too far. So what are we trying to say by analyzing this? Is this most times we have transferred fatigue from work, and when we get home we get bored. Most fathers have become lionic at home. They are lions because of the stress they bring into their home from work. And most mothers, most women, because of the stress they experience in their workplace, and when they get home, the children are not able to enjoy them, and of course, they couldn't also relate well with the husband or neighbors or whoever. So, if we have a good office, I mean, a good workplace that is stress free, let me put it that way, then the stress will not be also be transferred to homes. So what are office ergonomics? There are various considerations that have to be taken into account to apply ergonomic principles to the workplace. Number one, what are the consideration? Number one, our workstation will need to be adjusted. We must adjust the workstation to fit in. We must adjust the workstation. Number two, we must correct the environment. Environment has to do with, it's not limited to just the workspace alone. It's also it can be extended to people we work with environment. Because even if the office is well clean and everything is well arranged, and the people working with with us or working together are not in good rapport, it could cause boredom. Okay. Then the third one is improve postures and habits. We must improve our postures. So let's look at them one by one. Number one, adjust the chair. Our chair must be adjusted. Adjusting the workstation. Number two, we must adjust reach requirement. There's an adjust reach requirement which we must follow. We look at the hand of this picture. The man sitting down, no, is sitting at angle 90, and of course, look at the way he's sitting at angle 90, and the arm also is at angle 90. So we must adjust our chairs and every other thing to make sure our posture is good. Then we must correct the environment. There must be lightning. We must check the lightning. There must be illuminations. When office is dark, when there's no much illumination, there is possibility of people falling and hitting their legs against objects. So lightning must be there. There must be enough illuminations. Then the noise must be moderate. There shouldn't be noise. There shouldn't be noise. And of course, temperature must be normal. Temperature must be normal. Temperature must be normal. Then we must check work pace, and stress level. We must check work pace and stress level. Then we must check work processes. Work processes must be checked. Then workplace and stress level must also be checked to make sure the environment is corrected. Then we must improve our postures and habits. Bending our neck or back when typing or when working on our PC on any computer should be avoided. Our posture must be improved. Then we must modify our wrist and hand motion. We must improve our neck and back postures. We must consider personal preferences. Okay, industrial ergonomics. Ergonomic principle can also be applied in industrial settings to develop a safer, healthier, and more productive work environment. Ergonomic principles can also be applied in industrial settings to develop a safer, healthier, and more productive work environment. Employees and employers need to know how to minimize risk factors by choosing the best tools and work techniques for a given task. Employees and employers need to know how to minimize risk factors by choosing the best tools and work techniques for a given task. There are various considerations also that have to be taken into account to apply ergonomic principles to the industrial workplace. Number one, we must arrange the work area. The work area must be well arranged. Boxes and whatever must be well stacked. We must choose the appropriate tools. Appropriate tools must also be used. Then we must also correct the environment, improve work techniques and habits. So let's look at them one by one. Arrange workplace. Consider the base of support. For example, if you are standing on if you are using a ladder, let me put it that way, the base support must be firm, or you are climbing into a very high object, the base support must be firm. Then place equipment materials where appropriate. Equipment and material must be placed where appropriate. I always say this to people, that everything have its own place, its own position. When something is not put in the rightful position, it is a risk to workers. Then choosing the appropriate tools must also be considered. You must check the fit. You will make sure the tools match the task. Instead of using let me use this word, instead of using flat spanner maybe spanner 10 now to lose some nuts or bolt or nut, the ring, wherever the ring spanner should be used, must be used instead of the other way around. Okay, then correct the environment. Adjusting lighting the same as we have in the office. There must be enough illumination. Noise must be minimized. Even when you're working in a factory where there is heavy noise, then our ear guard should also be used. Then temperature, good room temperature must also be maintained. Then you must also check work pace and check work processes. Then the third one has improve work techniques and habits. Our work techniques and habits must be improved. Improve postures, check work technique. All right. At this point, before we go into the next slide, I don't know. Does anybody have a? I saw Mr. Michael raise his hand. Now I don't know if he's still there or if he still have one or two things to say or ask. Mr. David Michael, are you still there? Can you type? I don't know. Am I speaking alone? Is somebody hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
It's all right, sir. It's all right. Mr. Adeyemi Michael, have you put down your hands or do you still want to ask question or you raised your hand the other time? Okay. All right. Mr. Adeyemi Michael, can you hear me? Please, if you can hear me, you can use the chat room. Okay. Oh, okay. It's all right. Okay. Okay. We want to explain the component of an effective occupational safety program. Effective occupational safety program. An effective occupational safety and health program includes the following four elements: management commitment and employee involvement. Commitment and employee involvement. Worksite analysis. Then the third one is hazard prevention and control. Then the fourth one talk about safety and health training. Safety and health training. Okay. Management commitment and employees involvement are complementary. In other words, the management must be committed to safety and employee must also be involved in safety. Management commitment provide the motivating force and resources for organizing and controlling activities within an organization. Management commitment provides the motivating force and resources. The employees need to be motivated and resources will be provided by the management to make sure safety is attained. Employee involvement provides the means through which workers develop and express their own commitment to safety and health protection. The following actions should be taken by management and employees for an effective safety program. Number one, state clearly a worksite safety and health policy. State clearly a worksite safety and health policies. In one of our lectures, we talk about organization safety policies that everyone must lay their hands on their organization safety policies. Safety, okay, state clearly a work site. That's the work of the management. Second, I mean, they must establish and communicate a clear goal and objective for the safety and health program. Management must establish and communicate a clear goal and objective for the safety and health program. Management must provide visible top management involved in implementing the program. They must provide visible top management involvement in implementing the program. The program must not be left for employees alone. Management must also be involved. Okay. They must also encourage employees' involvement in the program and in decisions that affect their safety and health, such as in inspection of hazard analysis team, developing or revising safe work rules, training new hires or co-workers, and assisting in accident investigation. The management must be involved in all this program. They must make sure the safety and health program are effected. They must make sure employees are they make good decisions, correct decisions in being part of this safety exercise. They must make sure hazard analysis team are inspected, developed, and at times revised. Okay, management must assign and communicate responsibilities for all aspects of the program. Management must communicate and assign responsibilities for all aspects of the program. Management must provide adequate authority and resources to responsible parties. Management must provide adequate authorities and resources to responsible parties. Okay, hold managers, supervisors, and employees accountable for meeting their responsibilities. And of course, review programs operation at least annually to evaluate and identify deficiencies and revise as needed. Then we have worksite analysis. Worksite analysis involves a variety of worksite examinations to identify not only existing hazard, but also conditions and operations where changes might occur to create hazard. Worksite analysis has to do with examining work sites, not just to identify hazard, not just to identify existing hazard, but also to make sure conditions and operations are in good order, and to make sure operations that may change to create hazard be eliminated. Effective management actively analyzes the work and the work site to anticipate and prevent harmful occurrences. So, what are the uh, actions to be taken by management on work site analysis? Identify all hazard through proper work site analysis. Conduct comprehensive baseline and periodic surveys for safety and health. Analyze, plan, and new facilities, processes, materials, and equipment. Perform routine job hazard analysis. Provide for regular site safety and health inspections. Provide a reliable system for employees to notify management about apparent hazardous conditions and to receive timely and appropriate responses. They are also to provide for investigations of accident and near miss incidents so that their causes and means for preventions are identified. Then they are also to analyze injury and illness trend over time so that patterns can be identified and prevented. Then we have hazard prevention and control. The drive for hazard prevention and control is triggered by determination that a hazard potential hazard exists. The drive for hazard prevention and control is triggered by determination that a hazard or potential hazard exists. Where feasible, prevent hazard by effective design of job or job site. Hazard can be prevented by well and good job site design. Okay, so where elimination is not visible, control hazard to prevent unsafe and unhealthy exposure. Elimination or control must be accomplished in a timely manner. So, what are the actions to be taken? Number one, establish procedures for timely correction or control of hazard, including engineering techniques where visible and appropriate. Establish procedures for safe work which are understood and followed as a result of training, positive reinforcement, correction of unsafe performance and enforcement. Provision of personal protective equipment, administrative controls, provide for facility and equipment maintenance, plan and prepare for emergencies, conduct training and drills as needed, establish a medical program, then first aid on site, there must be first aid on site, physician and emergency should be readily available. Then We look at the fourth one, safety and health training. An effective safety and health training should address the safety and health responsibilities of all personnel. An effective safety and health training should address the safety and health responsibilities of all personnel, not just the workplace, not just equipment, but all personnel. Such programs are most effective when incorporated into other trainings about performance requirement and job practices. The safety training will depend on the complexity of work site and nature of hazard. Then, so what are the actions to be taken? Ensures that all employees understand the hazards to which they may be exposed and how to present harm to themselves and others from exposure to this hazard. So the training must include the hazard that is readily available that can ensue in a workplace. All this must be explained to, to employees. Ensure that supervisors carry out their safety and health responsibilities. Of course, safety is everyone's responsibilities. The supervisor should train to analyze the work under their supervision to identify unrecognized potential hazard. Then maintain physical protection in work areas. Reinforce employee training through continual performance feedback and, if needed, enforcement of safe work practices. Safe work practices must be enforced. Okay, then lastly, ensure that managers understand their safety and health responsibilities. So we want to explain the process of workplace safety inspection. The process of workplace safety inspection. One of the best ways to identify potentially fatal or harmful things is to conduct workplace inspection. One of the best ways to identify potentially fatal or harmful things is to conduct workplace inspection. When we're talking about potentially fatal, we are talking about harms that can take life, accident that can claim life in workplaces. Okay, so to avoid that, to prevent that, workplace inspection must be conducted. So once these things have been identified, they can be properly addressed. Once these things have been identified, they can be properly addressed. Uh, unsafe act, unsafe acts that are observed should be addressed as should unsafe condition. Unsafe act and unsafe condition should be addressed. Okay, should be addressed as unsafe conditions. Okay, accidents are a disruption to daily operations, and this in turn reduces operational efficiencies. When accidents happen, God forbid, but it's also our responsibility in the workplace. The morale of employees will be low, and of course, there'll be destruction to efficiencies and performances. And because people are also aware that something happened to someone, in order for them not to be a victim, it's possible for them not to put in their complete or total best into operations again. So, okay, so accidents are disruption to daily operations, and this in turn reduces operational efficiency. It is very important, therefore, that inspection should be a vital part of your safety or loss prevention program. Safety or loss prevention program. So safety is 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 the absence, or let me put it that safety is the presence of not losing. When you are not losing, when there is no loss in whatsoever means, then safety is at work. So how do we carry out safety inspection? Okay, what are the things inspection helps us to do? Number one, it helps to maintain a safe work environment. Number two, it controls unsafe acts and conditions. Number three, it ensures operational efficiency. It maintains a safe work environment. It controls unsafe acts and unsafe conditions. It ensures operational efficiency. So what are we to inspect? In workplace inspection, in workplace safety inspection, what are we to inspect? It is important to know as to what should be inspected. It is important to inspect all of the following. Number one, entire workplace, both within and without environment, both interior and exterior work environment should be inspected. The entire workplace means the entire workplace means all buildings, structures must be inspected. The buildings, the structures, the entire workplace must be inspected. So if you have a building that you can divide into several different inspections, then all the different inspections must be completed to receive credit for that inspection. For example, in a 5-story building, each story has an inspection form. Then it is critical that the inspection is completed and the inspection form for each story is duly filled for the inspection to be counted as completed. In a place where we have 5-story building, each story building, of course, should have been divided or possibly are divided into different sections or departments. So each of these story building must be inspected, and for inspection must be attached to each of the story building. And of course, when all the inspections are done, that inspection can be called a complete inspection. Not just inspecting a story building or just one of the story building or the main office or the stores or the factories and call it an inspection. The whole building must be inspected. All the 5 inspections together count as one building inspection for that structure. Okay, we've talked about the buildings, the physical, the whole building together. We want to talk about the interior and exterior work environment now. When looking at inside operations, don't forget to check work areas, areas accessible to the public, storage areas, maintenance areas, equipment rooms, open lock doors and check. Okay, this is an interior inspection. We must make sure all the interiors are inspected. Open lock doors and check what is behind the door. We make sure we check fire extinguishers. We make sure our storage areas are checked. Fuel storage tanks are checked to avoid leakage or to prevent leakage. The, the maintenance area is also checked. Then naked wire must be checked and be addressed. All these things are interior checks. And of course, the drawer are also part of interior checks. Any worn-out drawer should be replaced. Chairs that are not standing well should be checked and be repaired. Possibly, almost everything in the office must be checked. When inspecting external areas, it is important to remember to address security in parking areas, to check working surfaces for trip hazards, storage and maintenance buildings, equipment buildings, and vacant buildings. Okay, so when we are inspecting the external areas, it's important to address security in parking areas. It's also important to check the working surface to prevent strips and falls. The checklist of inspection categories. The list given below is a checklist of various categories of inspection to be carried out. If you have specialized areas that are hazardous or high risk, Then add them to your checklist. The hazard areas should be inspected in each building or area as per the audit or manual. We have building safety categories. The building safety category has to do with the structure of the building. Sometimes ago, I was going around church building and I discovered a kind of crack, and I quickly called the attention of people to address it. So for safety, there must be building. Okay, safety building is one of the inspections. Then number two, we have office safety. That's another categories of inspection that must be carried out. Then we have fire safety. That's to do with checking the the validity of our fire extinguishers. Check the fire extinguisher whether they've expired or they are still in active use. Then we have electrical safety. This also need to be checked. Then we have emergency equipment. Then we have storage method. What are the things to look for in inspection? The following are a few examples of what to look for in inspection. Indoor air quality. We want to look at indoor air quality, then fire protection and life safety compliance, housekeeping practices, equipment operations and maintenance practices, unsafe conditions, unsafe acts and practices. Okay. Indoor air quality. Indoor air quality problems include those caused by mold or asbestos or by an improper operating HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. Okay, so air conditioning system must be inspected to make sure everything is working fine. Okay, we have a fire protection and life safety compliance. The protocols are to be followed. The protocols to be followed to address issues, items such as firefighting equipment, exit signs, and exit pathways should be checked. The fire marshal will report any code violations. You should get a copy of the report every time they inspect your site. Then we have housekeeping. Housekeeping may refer to items such as facility cleanliness, proper storage of materials and supplies, and related activities. This has to do with cleanliness of the facilities, proper arrangement of the facilities of the office or our workplace. Then we have equipment operation and maintenance practices. Equipment operation and maintenance practices ensure that safety guards or safety devices on machines, equipment, etc., are removed or modified in any way. It ensures that safety guard or safety devices or machines, equipment are not removed, to make sure are not removed or modified in any way. Okay, inspect and ensure that everyone follows the manufacturer's recommended guidelines, procedures or safety standard at all times when using the machinery equipment. Disabling a safety device is strictly prohibited. So this has to do with the equipment we use in our workplace. We must make sure the equipment are well placed, not just well placed, but make sure the safety guidelines on this equipment are not modified or removed. Then we must also make sure that the manufacturer guidelines or recommended guidelines or procedures are duly followed, so as to prevent accidents. Is all right. Then we have unsafe conditions. Unsafe condition includes slip, trip, and fall hazard, electrical hazard, or any condition that can cause injury. They may also include environmental systems such as lighting, temperatures, and sound levels. So unsafe conditions includes, we must make sure the floor is not wet, is not wet. so as to prevent slips and falls. Then electrical wires also must also be uh, must also be checked to avoid shocks. And of course, there must be what we call heart. It helps in terms of in lightning. It helps when there is lightning, and of course, all these are needed. Then unsafe acts and practices. Unsafe acts when conducting inspections, observe employees performing their job tasks. Are they following proper work procedures, obeying safety rules, wearing PPEs, using ladders instead of chairs? If not, it needs to be noted and reported. Instead of stacking chairs or standing on chairs, ladder should be used. Standing on chairs or stacking chairs to change bulb in the office or to do something uh, that is that is high is an unsafe act and practices, and they such must be avoided. So, what are the type of inspection? We have formal inspections, we have daily and week inspections, we have special function inspections. So, what are formal inspections? Formal inspections are those that are scheduled in advance. They may include the safety officer and safety committee members. They are scheduled in advance. They are futuristic, they are scheduled for future purposes. They include they may include safety officers and safety committee members. Then we have daily and weekly inspection. Daily, all employees are required to conduct informal visual inspection of their work areas prior to beginning operation. Every day, every operator must, as a matter of uh, essentiality, make sure he or she conduct visual inspection of work areas or machines to be used before operation. Supervisors should continuously monitor work areas for developing hazard or unsafe practices. Then we have a special function inspections. Special function inspections are conducted after accident and upon the introduction of new equipment or new procedures. They may be conducted by other regulatory agencies. Special function inspections are conducted after accident and upon the introduction of new equipment and new procedures. They may be conducted by other regulatory agencies. So who can conduct inspection? Employees can conduct inspection. Supervisors can conduct inspections. Safety coordinators can conduct inspections. Management can conduct inspections. Safety committee members can conduct inspections. Outside vendors or insurance companies also conduct inspections. Okay. Daily, all employees should make a visual inspection of their workplace prior to work beginning. Supervisors, safety coordinators, and management personnel, as part of their daily work routine, should make continuous visual inspections and take corrective actions to address any unsafe act or unsafe conditions. Safety coordinators, management personnel, or safety committee members may inspect workplace, accident scenes, etc. when necessary. Okay, outside parties such as state fire marshal may inspect worksite as well as other state agencies such as Office of Risk Management. All these are people that can conduct inspections. The following are visual examples of what we are looking for. What are we looking for in inspection? Number one, emergency equipment. Then we have office safety, fire safety, hazardous material safety, electrical safety, storage method, environment safety. Okay. What do we mean by emergency equipment? We check for, what do we check for? We check for availability of appropriate medicine in first aid kit. Every workplace, every organization must have this first aid kit. So what do we check for? We check at the first aid kit to make sure the kits are complete, to make sure the drugs or kits or whatever is the content have not expired. Is the first aid kit visible or accessible? These are the things we need to address. Are they properly stocked? Remove any product that have been expired. Any product that have expired must be removed and replaced. Must be removed and replaced. Then availability of other items, defibrillators, spill kits, eye watch stations, body wash stations. All these must be available. Okay, we look at office safety. For office safety, what are we to look for? This is both a dangerous situation and a violation of fire safety code. Okay, poor housekeeping with combustible materials and trip hazard scattered throughout. All this must be addressed. Fire escape route blocked must be inspected and make sure not blocked. Exit door must make sure it's not blocked. Then tripping hazard, whatever can cause trip must also be addressed. Okay. Fire safety, check if elevator emergency keys are properly stored in a place that is secured and accessible or at all times. The security or someone that lives close on 24-hour call if the fire department does not have a copy. So there must be a copy of the key, elevator key, to the security must have it. Okay, then is the firefighting equipment inspected or serviced? All these are questions that must be addressed and ready for use in the event of an emergency. Then we must check service tag for details of last inspection. Like our fire extinguisher, we check the tag to check the last inspection, or any other tag around must be checked. Is the safety pin in place or secured? Check to see that the hose has not rotted or the nozzle has not clogged for extinguishers that are stored outdoors. So fire extinguisher must be serviced, must be checked. We look at the tag for the last day of inspection. Any day inspection is carried on this equipment, there must be a note on such on the tag. Is all right. Okay. Then we check to make sure the pin is in place and secure. Then we also check to see that the hose has not rotten for those fire extinguishers that are stored outside. Then we have hazardous materials. Check the containers of hazardous materials to ensure there are no leaks, to make sure that the containers are located in a no smoking area and everyone follows this rule. This container must be properly labeled. If the labels become damaged, faded, they should be replaced. Then we have electrical safety. Checking for electrical safety, look for and correct the following: fray cords or patch cords, ground connection removed or damaged connection, overloading outlet must be addressed. Outlets and switch plates that are not covered must be covered. Panel boxes not labeled correctly must be labeled correctly. Any hot spots are boxes closed, covered properly. Extension cord used in a permanent capacity. Then we look at the storage method. Check for poor, unacceptable housekeeping practices. Do not store water in electrical or mechanical rooms. Are storage areas cluttered? Are items overhanging from the shelves? Are heavier, large items stored above shoulder height? Are large boxes stuck on top of smaller boxes? All these must be addressed. Large boxes must not be stored or stacked on smaller boxes. Then any height above shoulder, large boxes shouldn't be put up above shoulders. Then water should not be stored in electrical or mechanical rooms, even on the table. I always tell my people, I always tell my children that water and papers are not friendly. So you must not in any way put water on a table. All right. So all this must be addressed. Okay. They will want to look at the environmental safety. Then are exit pathways clear? Are the rails sturdy? Are treads, risers, etc. in good conditions? Is area properly lighted for emergency use? All these are questions that should be addressed. Then we also need to check the exterior lighting and security. The exterior lighting and security must be checked. Are lights working after dark? Are lights working after dark? Is lighting adequate from building to parking areas? Are there any overgrown bushes that someone could hide therein? Then after inspection have been completed, you have to decide the actions that need to be taken. Also, you should duly fill, sign, and date the inspection form. If hazard was found, then make sure that it is properly recorded and reported to the appropriate people. Both unsafe conditions, both unsafe condition and unsafe acts should be corrected as soon as possible. Sometimes corrective actions can take place immediately, and other times can be drawn, but over a period of time, you can discuss the unsafe act. Over a period of time, you can discuss the unsafe act practiced by the employees in the next safety meeting. In other words, after an inspection has been done, our record needs to be updated. Then if any hazard is found, we must make sure it's reported and is appropriately dealt with. Then every unsafe and unsafe condition, unsafe act should be corrected as soon as we notice that. Then some corrections can take place immediately, while others can take place over a period of time. And all this can also be discussed during a safety meeting. They want to describe the corrective actions for safety. Okay. Correct unsafe act, then correct unsafe condition. These are corrective actions for safety. Unsafe act must be corrected. Unsafe conditions must be corrected. What are unsafe conditions? Unsafe conditions must be addressed within a reasonable time period. A follow-up inspection may be necessary. Then what are unsafe acts? Unsafe acts can normally be corrected immediately. Remember, unsafe condition must be addressed within a reasonable time period of time. Unsafe condition must be addressed then. It's a gradual thing. Then we are talking about unsafe act. It can be corrected immediately. Someone that is climbing, that want to possibly change bulb or do something, and is stacked in an office chair to climb to make sure bulb is changed. That can be corrected immediately. And the correction is to make sure ladder is used. Often, root cause analysis reveal that unsafe acts are a result of incorrect training or lack of training. After a problem has been detected, management has the ultimate responsibility to take the necessary steps to correct it. Once a problem has been corrected, prudent steps should be taken to ensure that it does not return. Job safety observation may be used to ensure that proper job procedures are being used. This observation should be conducted immediately and intermittently. When possible, line employees should be involved in the inspection process. In part because of their job task knowledge, they are often able to develop safer, more efficient processes. Always document corrective actions on that, okay? The next step is to develop and implement control strategies to increase quality and productivity. Once the risk factors and their causes are identified, control strategies can be implemented based on it. The following strategies can be used to increase safety in an industrial workplace: engineering control, administrative control, then PPE. Engineering controls include replacing equipment with safer model and removing unsafe equipment from the work area. Use appropriate initial design of the workstation or work area. Improve the design of the existing work area equipment. Provide necessary equipment and accessories. Adjust workstation layout and equipment. Administrative controls include restricting access to hazardous areas, the use of signs to communicate information, ensuring site security and employees training. Then it also include improving safety through the written policies and procedures by management. So we train workers in work method, vary or rotate work tasks, limit extended work hours, then provide mini breaks. Okay, before I explain, before we go into the next section explaining the significance of PPE, I want to just ask, do we have anyone that can really, okay, do we have anyone that can, okay, in the chat room, if you can hear me clearly and you are following me. I wanted to open mics to hear voices before, but I have a change of mind because looking at the time, we still have other lectures. But in the chat room, if you can hear me clearly and you are following, please just type 11 in the chat room. Okay, all right. Thanks so much. It's all right. So I want to look at PPE. Want to explain the significance of PPE. What does it stand for? What do we use it for? Protective equipment must be used as a last option after consideration has been given to engineering and administrative control. When PPE is used, employee must be trained in its use and they must be monitored to ensure they are using their PPE properly. Now, PPE must be administered to employees where necessary. Then they must also be trained on how to use it. Not only be trained, they must be enforced by proper monitoring to make sure they use it properly. There should be a written program on how to purchase, use, maintain, store, or dispose PPE. PPE acts as a barrier between a person and a hazard. It prevents hazard. That's a barrier between a person and a hazard. PPE is only appropriate in situations when engineering or administrative controls cannot be implemented. Black belt or other braces are not considered PPE. These devices should be used in place of incorrect work technique. Okay, document your collective actions also. Okay, document your collective action. Also document your control. All findings along with collective action recommended should be fully documented. Any collection to any item recorded on the hazard log should be documented. The type of documentation that is used is not as important as ensuring it is done in a timely and thoroughly manner. In other words, it's good to document. It's also good to make sure things are carried out, followed, okay? It is important to also have a checklist for the inspection. A checklist can be departmental or site specific. Each department can have their own checklist or site specific. It's better to take a basic form and tailor it to your site and needs. Site specific form is highly recommended over a department form. Specific form fit a specific building, and we have no categories that are not applicable to that building. Okay, this is how to write inspection report. The name of the inspection, okay, name of the person inspecting must be there, date of the inspection and the hazard identifier must be there, concerns identified, description and exact location of the hazard must be there. The building area inspected must also be documented. Corrective actions to be taken or be removed must be there. Okay. Okay. So hazard control log. Number one, another part of inspection process is hazard control log, HCL. If you have a work order system, you are not required to use HCL. Your written procedure should give details of the method that you decide to use. Okay, sorry, number two, if you decide to keep the HCL system in a place, a procedure needs to be in place as to who controls the HCL. Check it daily for hazard, follow up on all complaints, and keep documentation on it. Okay, number four, all employees should be trained on hazard control logs procedure. Then hazard control log procedure should be monitored by agency safety officers. Then document that the log is being monitored. HCL should be kept for at least 3 years. Shouldn't be discarded, should be kept. Okay. Hazard control log should be posted in the workplace and should be accessible to all employees. The purpose of HCL is for employees to report unsafe condition. Okay, this is a sample of HCL. We have the date, the department, we have the agencies, okay, we have the location, the date will be there, then date, the hazard identified, immediate or temporal control, then long-term solutions, then hazard detected, then priority will also be there, schedule time and completion of the log or when inspection was carried out will also be there. Electrical receive fatal shock, okay? It has been discovered that in workplaces, electrical connection or light fixtures with circuit energized has caused one fatality, at least once, one fatality. Then electrical shock while connecting light fixture has caused 30 people lost time injuries. The electrician received minor burn from electrical shock. About 300 recordable injuries have been recorded. Then we have electricians fall from ladder due to jack reaction from shock. We have about 30,000 near means of first aided and treated people. Then we have electrician receive fatal shock. We have about 300,000 hazard unsafe act at risk behavior. We want to explain the precautions for electrical safety. Precaution for electrical safety. Okay. Only trained maintenance employees are authorized to conduct troubleshooting of electrical repairs. When we're talking about electrical safety, only trained maintenance employees, officers are authorized to conduct electrical repair. Do not attempt any maintenance activities you are not trained or authorized to conduct. Never use a damaged extension cord or other pieces of damaged equipment. Never use electric in damp or wet areas. Okay, we want to look at the best practices at workplace. List of the best practices at the workplace. Number one, we need to learn. Number one, we need to wear the proper equipment wear the proper equipment, proper protective equipment. The best practices at our workplace: number one, you wear PPE. Number two, you pick up after yourself, keep the job site neat. Number three, use the right tools for the right job. Number four, check out the hazard around your site. Then learn and practice proper lifting, bending and pushing technique. Use these general safety rules as your guide. Number one, take the right attitude. The right attitude is the safety first attitude. It means safety is your top priority on the job. So the first attitude is safety first. The second attitude is safety rules and procedures. Know and follow procedures for doing job properly. Use tools only for the intended job and follow all safety rules and conditions. Then suit up for safety. Know how to use your PPE for your job. Make sure you inspect and maintain it regularly. Use PPE depending on the job at hand. You may need safety goggles or glasses. You may need to wear gloves, hard hats, safety shoes, rubber boots for walking around electricity, earplugs or protectors for those working in a noisy area, face shield for those working in dusty and any other factories that has to do with grinding of metals, then face masks or respirators for those working in chemical work areas. So what are the general safety rules? Steps to take strain out of lifting and moving to avoid injury. This has been addressed sometimes back, I think one of our lectures. Examine the load for grease, oil, moisture, or sharp edge. Plan your path to make sure it's free of obstruction when you are carrying a load. Squat down and straddle the load somehow and bend your knees. Grasp the object firmly to make sure your grip won't slip. Lift your legs slowly, straighten them. Avoid jacking motion. Okay. They want to look at the disaster management plan, DMP, disaster management plan, or emergency planning. Is an integral part of the overall loss control program. It is important for effective management of an incident to minimize losses to people and property, both in and around facilities. So what are the objectives of controlling disaster management? To control events and prevent escalations. Disaster management is to control events and prevent escalation. Is to minimize the effect of people, property, and environment, and then effective rehabilitation of affected people. Okay, we want to look at the critical element of an emergency plan. Number one, reliable and early detection of an emergency, carefully planning. Number two, the command, coordinate, and organize structure with efficient training personnel, resources for handling emergencies, appropriate emergency response action, effective notification and communication facilities, proper training of concerned persons, regular mock or drill rehearsals for emergency agents, then regular review of updating. Okay, regular review of updating of our plan. Okay, we have two types of emergency plan. We have on-site and we have off-site. On-site has to do with for incident which could affect people and environment inside the work only. The off-site has to do with people and the environment outside the work. Then emergency evacuation. Emergency evacuation. Evacuation of the building may be required if emergency situation threatens the life of safety employees. So whenever there is an emergency, evacuation should be considered. Okay. Okay. They want to explain OSHA's hazard communication standard. OSHA stands for Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Okay. OSHA communication hazard standard applies to general industries, shipyards, marine terminals, long shoring and construction companies. Employment and cover, excuse me, someone is distracting me, sorry. Okay, long shoring and construction employment and covers chemical manufacturers, importers, and employers and employees exposed. The OSHA's standard strives to ensure that employees and employers know work hazard and how to protect themselves so that the incident of illness and injuries due to hazardous chemicals are released. Are reduced rather. Sorry. Okay. There are approximately 650,000 existing chemical products and hundreds of new ones being introduced annually. So chemical exposure may cause or contribute to many serious health effects such as heart ailment, central nerve system damage, kidney and lungs damage, sterility, cancer, burns and rashes. Some chemicals may also be safety hazard and have the potential to cause fire. All chemicals must be labeled with the name of the chemical. Then bulk chemicals and chemicals with hazard must be labeled with the hazard management information system. The higher is the number of the rating, the more hazardous is the chemical. Meaning, the higher the number, the more dangerous the chemical or the more hazardous the chemical is. So we have flammable hazard management information label. Every flammable object must be labeled with red, must have red label, meaning one must be preheated to burn. 2, ignite when moderately burn. These are chemicals that are labeled. Number 3, ignite at normal temperature. Number 4, extremely flammable. Then we have reactivity. Unstable if heated, that's yellow color. Then violent chemicals, change possible. Use O-string from distance, strong shock, or it may be detonate. Then may detonate or vacate area. Then we have health. Number 1, shortly hazardous. Hazardous when breathed in. Extremely dangerous, use full protective clothing. Too dangerous to enter, or vapor liquid. Okay. The marking in the bottom white square, OXY, these are chemicals that causes fire through the release of oxygen. Then we have acid, we have alkali, we have use of no water. These are marks and emblem we put on such label. W means no water. Then we have radiation acid. Okay. Okay, is this okay, Mr. Nelson? Is this chart for GHS labbing system? Okay, you mean the chart that just showed now? Hello, Mr. Nelson? Okay, it's all right. Yeah. Yes, it can also be used for GHS. It can also be used for GHS. Maybe after the class, I may need to do more explanation on that because of time. I'm really seriously rushing. MSDS stands for Material Safety Data Sheet. Dr. Benito taught us this, was it last week or sometimes last week? Yes. So, but this is not musculoskeletal disorder. MSD provide in-depth information on health, hazard, reactivity, flammability, chemical properties, guidelines on usage and storage. MSD should be available for all product use at an on-site facilities. MSD must be in English and include information regarding the specific chemical identity and common names. Then MSD have no prescribed format. If no MSDs has been received for hazardous chemicals, employer must contact the supplier, manufacturer or importer to obtain one and maintain a record of the contact. Okay, material safety data sheets are prepared by chemical manufacturers or importers as and described. We can go through this when we have a note. Okay, what are medical emergencies? If someone needs emergencies, medical care follows the guidelines below. Okay, summon a first responder to the injured person. Ensure an employee stand at the entrance to direct the emergency crew to the injured employee. Inform your supervisor of the situation. If it is a larger fire, then sound the alarm, fire alarm, notify your manager and evacuate the building. Then report, assemble in your designated area of facilities, report any missing or co-workers to manager. Fire extinguishers only have a minute of retardant in each extinguisher. So you will only be able to put out fires the size of a small trash can. To use a fire extinguisher, remember the acronym PASS, which means pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the handle, sweep the base of the fire. Don't forget, whenever we are to use fire extinguisher, the word PASS should be followed. Pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the handle, then sweep the base of the fire. Then we have a case study here. Let me quickly read through the case study, then we do this classwork together. Ilios Incorporated is a chemical manufacturing company. It has been facing a lot of problems due to workplace injuries caused due to various accidents in the manufacturing plant. So the question is, what should Ilios do to reduce this workplace injury? Number two, what process should Ilios follow for inspection and hazard communication? Okay, I want our answers in the chat room. Ilios is a chemical manufacturing company. It has been facing a lot of problems due to workplace injuries caused to various accidents in the manufacturing company. So what should Ilios do to reduce this workplace accident? What process should Ilios follow for inspections and hazard communication? Do we have anyone that want to answer this question? It's a classwork, and I'm expecting a response. So, are we together? Can someone hear me? If yes, okay. Okay, someone can hear me, all right? Okay. Mr. Nelson Afebu said, Ilios can start inspection of workplace for hazards, okay? So what should Ilios do? Should try to understand the source of the accident, okay? That's from Mr. Owuka, all right? I need more answers, more responses, please. Okay, through inspection, that should be question what now, Mr. Morun Ronti? Through inspection. Okay, should that be for number one or number two? Okay, can also start looking at behaviors of workers via BBS program, okay? It should involve the workplace inspection, okay? Mr. Raymond said root cause analysis. All right. So what should Helios do to reduce this workplace accident? Number one, from what Mr. Railwan said, there should be inspection. Okay, there should be inspection. It should involve the workplace inspection, all right? Then you should look at the root cause analysis of this accident, okay? Workers should be encouraged to speak up. All right, thanks so much for all these responses. Workers should be encouraged to follow safety, occupational health and safety rules. And of course, there should be training for, to speak up through proper supervision of workplace, and there should be training of workers. Thanks so much. This is where we are ending this lecture. I don't know if anybody have any. Okay, use of PPE. Thanks so much. That's Mr. Mekademi. Thanks so much. Yeah, you're right. PPE should be used, and they should be encouraged. Workers should be encouraged to use PPE. After a thorough inspection, the administration and engineering procedures should be applied. Thank you, Mr. Rilwan. It's all right. We've all spoken very well. So I think Mr. Michael, Dr. Benito, are you still there, sir? Hello, Dr. Benito.
Yes, I'm here, please. I'm here, please.
All right, sir. So Mr. Michael is raising his hand. Let me quickly, in this module, we've learned that ergonomics is the science of fitting workplace condition and job demand. We've also learned principles, ergonomic principles that can be applied to office setting in order to minimize risk factors. We've also learned effective occupational health and safety programs, which includes 4 elements: management commitment and employee involvement, worksite analysis, hazard prevention and control, safety and health training. Then we also look at OSHA standard concerning workplace safety. Is all right. All right, that is there. I will drop the curtain for now. Before we go to the next lecture, I don't know if anybody have any question. Mr. DME raises his hand. I don't know if you hand is up or the hand has been brought down.
All right, thank you so much, sir. The class had been wonderful and it had been awesome. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks to everyone for taking the time to learn. So we're going to take the questions by raising of hands, and after that, we will take attendance before going to the next class. And before we place the attendance, we're going to pass some announcements, and then after the announcements, we'll take a few minutes break, and then we'll be back. Thank you so much. So I'm going to be unmuting Director Mike Ademi. Please, Director, can you unmute and listen?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone. The class of today is so interesting, very timely. I say timely because something happened at a friend's site on Tuesday, and knowing where I'm working, he called me and told me that they locked up his site. So I was trying to, so I want me to now intervene on his behalf. So calling the people that came under safety, so that he has not provided any, provided any safety guideline. He did not put it in place, and that's why they decided to lock the site up. So my question now is, what are the why I say the lecture is time, because I was able now to get and know what are the safety precautions that should be put in place, like equipment, emergency equipment, office space, fire safety, hazardous materials, and so on. So, what I want to ask, this one is personal, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, we are with you, sir.
Okay. This one is personal. I want to ask, one, what are the professionally now? What are the things that should be in a construction site as a safety guide or safety measure to be put in place? Then number two, taking up this course for me to practice. At what point can I come in as a safety professional? I mean, so I can work at the site, or can I do it presently, or I need to be qualified, or be, I mean, I have to get the certificate first. Those are my questions, sir.
Okay. So you said they are personal. Are you directing them to Dr. Dave or to me?
To both of you, sir.
Okay, so I think I will allow Dr. Dave to handle that because this is class. All right, Doc, please, over to you. Hello? Oh, it's like his line has dropped off. Joseph. Oh, it's like his line dropped off. Okay, so let me answer in his absence. The first question is what are the safety tools in a construction site? Okay, so what we are learning is HSE. What it simply means is we will not be able to tell you categorically what safety tools are needed in medical, what safety tools are needed in construction, or what safety tools are needed in any other place. It is the duty of the safety officer to do his own safety audit and then find out the best safety tools for that particular site. And like we said, the PPEs differ, okay, and environmental considerations differ. What might be applicable in Lagos might not be applicable in Port Harcourt, and what might be applicable in Port Harcourt might not be applicable in Imo State. So we need to find out what is applicable in a given location, then provide the standards that will meet up with the regulatory requirements. Okay.
Okay.
That's very, very important. Then the second question of at what point should you be able to practice as a safety professional? When you get your certification, by default, you're qualified. But when you get your chartered, you're much more qualified. Now, I'm going to share an experience. I think I've shared this experience severally. Now, sometimes in March or February, I was in Lagos and I visited this company. They were doing about, is it 10-story building in Ikoyi, opposite the Deputy Governor's Lodge.
Okay.
And then when I entered the site, one, I was not comfortable with the site, irrespective of the fact that it was opposite Deputy Governor's Lodge. Now, the whole place was unsafe. The people were unsafe. The activities there were unsafe. And 10-story building is not something you will do with without safety precautions. I had to call the project manager and started asking him questions as regarding the safety concerns in the site and what are they putting on as safety considerations. And he kept telling me that they've ordered for PPEs. It will arrive very soon and all of that. About 3 days, I went to that site. I didn't see anything. Now, if I were to take it up as a safety professional, I will go to the safety authority of the state and report. Okay. If I want to actually make money from them, I will either go and report, and when the case come up, I will come back to them and ask to write their safety programs and policies, which I will return back to the state for approval. It's just like an architect in Abuja now. And you can start building, an architect will come and ask you, where is your plan? You don't have, he will go and report you to the Abuja Development Agency. They will come and seize the land. He will come back to you, draw the plan and get it to you. You take it to AMAC. AMAC will approve and give you back your property. That's the same way the safety profession also work. If you want to treat it that way, you can. If you want to work as to get the company to work with them as a consultant, having let them know that, these conditions are not favorable. Nonetheless, I'm available for service. I can help you develop a safety plan and put your safety processes and safety systems in order to avoid legal harassment. That also can work. Okay, so immediately you get your certifications, you're qualified to do that. But like I said, being a chartered is better. At least with your stamp and seal, it gives you more authority. Okay, it gives you more authority. All right, did that help at all?
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir.
Okay, you're welcome, sir. Okay, Dr. Dave is back. Okay, please read one. Read one. Kindly unmute and let's hear from you, please.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning, sir. You're
Yeah,
welcome
when
back.
Doctor was giving the outline of safety hazard the other time, he said we can actually identify us site hazard through site analysis. So I now want to ask that, now what is site analysis? Can we assume that site analysis is as good as thorough inspection of both internal or external? That's number one. Secondly, is slightly peculiar to the first question now, that now as as a profession of safety, what effort is this organization has been doing to checkmate the community, maybe in Lagos now? We are having different gas sellers in the
Having
community.
different what?
Gas seller.
Commercial gas seller.
Gas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Cooking gas that is now getting Lagos to endemic center, that every now and then we are having seen the news of fire explosion, all those things. So once as this organization, what efforts is it doing to ensure that fire safety or HS is gone through legislative to be empowered to checkmate all these things, to ensure our environment is safe from, because the people that are affected, they are just helpless people. So
okay, so let me understand your question, especially the second one. What is this organization saying are doing? Are you referring to IIPM or any other organization?
Yes, IIPM. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We'll answer that question. Don't worry, we'll answer the question. Okay. All right. So, Dr. Dave, the first question, he said site analysis. What is site analysis is all about?
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Real One. Sorry, is your name Real One or Read One?
D is Read One. Read One.
Read One is all right. Site analysis is a kind of analysis that is done on a site before the commencement of site work, or even during site work. I don't know if you've gone to sites before where you will see, I'm talking about building engineering sites now where construction is going on. You will see where what they call the sands have been tripped in a place, and you see iron put in a place. You see granite, loads of granite put in a place, and there won't be space within the premises of the construction and whatever going on. Do you understand what I'm saying? So site analysis helps to put well and arrange site. It has to do with site. I mean, it could be industry. Site is also applicable to industry. It has to do with how the site is well arranged to avoid harms or any other occupational illness. So site analysis has to do with analysis done on site, not in a covered hall, but on site. I don't know if I made any sense. Sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just to add to that, site analysis, if you know how to do job hazard analysis, site analysis is just the same as job hazard analysis. Dependent on your site, you can also do the all general risk analysis, which could be before, which is before, during, and after the project. So site analysis is another name we are giving to job hazard analysis on construction site. If you go to laboratory analysis, it's the same thing. If you go to marketplace analysis, it's the same thing. It's just that what is determining the name of the analysis is the environment. So if we are doing risk or job hazard analysis in a site, we call that site analysis. If we are doing that in a production plant, we call that production plant operations analysis or what have you. So it's just the same. There is no difference in that. The only basic thing is to understand what job hazard analysis is all about and risk analysis. Then I think I will attempt your second question of what are we doing in helping fight safety concerns or improve safety in Nigeria. Okay, so one of the basic things we are doing is IPM is a training and certification organization. So our work primarily is not enforcement. Our work primarily is training and development. And every year, we provide free trainings, just like we are doing now, just to empower the public on the need of understanding the importance of safety. And like is always said, you can only take the horse to the river. You can't force the horse to the river. So we take that as a responsibility. We fund it from beginning to the end. The option for certification is just optional. With or without certification, we still run the program. And we select some states where we do physical training as well, apart from the online training. Lagos is one of them. Abuja is one of them. Nasra State is one of them. Kaduna State is one of them. And other few states that we visit at least once in a year to run free trainings. Also, we've been able to have some partnership with some ministries in Nigeria where we also provide free trainings for them. Like we have Ministry of Education in some states where we provide free training for the staff on safety concerns. Then we also have some other organizations on state levels and federal levels that will provide these trainings for. Our own is to empower them with the knowledge. Their own is to enforce because they are the government. Okay, so these are some of the things we do to help. And in our conferences also, every year we have our annual conference where safety also is a major topic that is being discussed. And you have different individuals from different sectors, both private and public, to come and talk about these safety concerns, all right? So we, as a training and certification body, we are doing our own part as to providing the enlightenment needed. But it is left now for you and I that are doing this training to go and practice what we are learning. So if you're an engineer and you're working on site, it's left for you to now begin to write down your safety plans before. The way you're drawing your site plan, you also draw your safety plan, okay? And also, with or without you being an engineer, or with or without you being a doctor, or with or without you being anyone that could have been a very serious threat to safety, you should also look out for unsafe acts and unsafe conditions. For instance, if I'm around anywhere and you drop anything that is hazardous in the environment, God knows you will pick it. I will not force you to pick it, but the way I will talk to you, you will have the mind of God to pick it and dispose those things in the right places. So these are some of the things we all, having learned, we shouldn't just be obsessed with organizational participation. We should also be engulfed with general public participation. There are so many unsafe acts that we perform in our houses. There are so many unsafe acts we perform in our social gatherings. There are so many unsafe acts we perform while driving on the road. By having the knowledge that those things are not really friendly to the environment, by copying them on our own self, we can also encourage the next person beside us. The person will encourage the next person, and by the time we know it, we're having a fair environment to work with. So, Mr. Ridwan, you are welcome to the campaign.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right, do we have any other, I think, okay, we still have Mr. Nelson. Please, Mr. Nelson, kindly unmute and let's hear from you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Good afternoon, everyone.
You're welcome, sir.
My questions go like this. I would have, when you were mentioning the ministries that you partner with, I would have expected that you guys, I want to ask, are you guys partnering with people like Federal Ministry of Environment or a State Ministry of Environment? Because I didn't hear anything about like our Factories Act and all other things like that. That's number one. Then number two, it seems to me that the only place where safety is very prominent in this country is in the oil and gas industry. If you go to where a road construction site or a building site, you hardly see safety rules being followed. I want to know why this is the case. Then number three, the man who was talking about certification, because I've asked these questions before. Where does IIPM stand in relation to ISPON? Because I know due to the ISPON Act that was signed during the time of Goodluck Jonathan, they told us that you cannot practice as a safety man unless you are a member of ISPON. But you are saying once you are certified, you can practice. So I am trying to resolve these two issues in my mind.
Okay, thank you so much. I will start with the last question. ISPON is like ICANN in Nigeria. So ISPON is a regulatory, apart from being a training body, the Federal Act in Nigeria empowered them to also be a regulatory body as far as safety is concerned. Okay, now IIPM is a training and certification body. We are not a regulatory body. Okay, we are not a regulatory body. We don't have, we are not a government agency. ISPON is empowered by government, just like ICANN, just like CMD, just like CIPM. Those are government-owned regulatory bodies to monitor the activities in those areas. Nonetheless, ISPON is not the only body in Nigeria or around the world that provides training and certification in safety. So we should separate the regulations from the certifications. They are two different things. Okay, we should separate the regulations from the certifications, all right? Now, ISPON can regulate activities in Nigeria. They don't have outside of Nigeria influence when it comes to regulation, but they have outside of Nigeria influence when it comes to certification. Their certificates can be recognized anywhere in the world. In the same vein, other certifications can also be recognized. That's if they have the legal requirements to be accepted. They can also be accepted by ISPON or any other safety organization or any other body in the world. But when it comes to regulating safety, each country have their own safety regulatory body. ISPON in Nigeria is like OSHA in US. Okay, and it's like what do you call it? NEBOSH. Okay, the NEBOSH in UK. So those bodies are, apart from the fact that they are certification agencies, they are also a regulatory agency. They were instituted by government to regulate those areas of safety, all right? So we need to separate the two. Now, IPM certifications, we have two certifications in this category. If you're just going for certification, it's coming from Society for Human Resource Management, USA. If you want to be chartered, it is from Chartered Institute of Management Consultants, USA. So if you want to have the full assurance of professional practice, then we advise you to go for charter. If you only want to have the certification for your career only, then we advise you to stop at certification level. Okay, so I think that is clear enough. Then secondly, you were asking whether we have, or you were expecting to mention partnership with state ministries on safety and federal ministries on safety. Partnership is a gradual process. Okay, there are so much more organizations we still partner with, and that will still partner with us. So it's a gradual process, and we are all working on all of it. Then the first question is like safety has its prominence in oil and gas. The answer is yes. The truth is it was oil and gas that brought safety to Nigeria. And to date, oil and gas still maintains the highest level of concern in the safety industry. But according to the bill that was passed, was in 2017, for the formulation of OSH in Nigeria, there had been a very serious inclusion of safety in every aspect of the organization, of the industry in Nigeria now. So if you go to the bank, you will see them have their safety certificates and do everything that has to do with safety policies and the likes. You go to insurance, you see the same thing. You go to medical, you see the same thing. You go to hotel, you see them. Okay, just that the risk levels in those areas can't be quantified as that of in oil and gas. One risk occurrence in oil and gas can cripple a whole community. But one risk occurrence in bank might just be a fraction of the bank it might damage. So the prevalence of safety in oil and gas is because of the high risk level of activities in oil and gas. Okay, but that does not mean that other fields are not picking up. Like now in Abuja, before you do anything as construction or whatsoever commercial, you would have done your environmental impact assessment, and that will be approved by the safety department in the urban and regional planning of Abuja. Then you have places like Cross River State that does the same thing. You have places like Port Harcourt that does the same thing. And I'm sure there could be other states in Nigeria that I'm not aware of that are also doing the same thing. Okay, so it's a gradual process. And we, like I said, having gotten the knowledge, we must also learn to encourage our organizations and also help to educate those around us. We don't need to be chartered or need to have license before we could start telling people about all of the impacts of the activities that we do, the unsafe activities that we do. So we must pay our own sacrifice of ensuring that those around us get to have the knowledge. Because at the end of the day, whether you're chartered or not chartered, whether you're certified or not certified, if you get to be in an accident scene, death occurs to everyone, injuries occur to everyone. Okay, so like you said, the answer yes, but other sectors are also gradually picking up because of the government enforcement we are having today. Thank you so much. I don't know whether anything I said here made sense to you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'll be handing over back to Dr. David. But before I hand over to him, please let me repeat these announcements that were passed on in the morning. I will start with the attendance part. So many people come to class, but they don't sign attendance. I don't really know why. Some people have the challenge of network, some have the challenge of flat battery, some have the challenge of other contingencies that we might not be aware of. But I would like us to note categorically that the basic criteria for shortlisting our names in the group, one, attendance is number one. And if your attendance record is 1 or 0, it will not appear in the grouping. So you need to have at least 2 attendance in our records. Okay, you need to have 2 attendance in our records. All right. Then secondly, the groups that have been shared, we encourage each group to go ahead and form their WhatsApp group for immediate discussions on the group topics or the group topic they wish to go with. Then thirdly, no 2 groups are expected to write on the same project topic. Each group is to have their own distinct project topic. So what we need is the group submit the topic they want. If approved, they go ahead and do it. Then fourthly, the project work is in two phases. The project work is in two phases. The first phase is presentation. The first phase is presentation. So each group is to prepare their work and then be ready for presentation. Be ready for presentation. Then, apart from presentation, each group is to prepare their professional article, and the professional article has the guideline has already been provided in the upload that was done in the group chat. Now, another concern is the names in the grouping are only for those that are going for certification. If you're not going for certification, you don't need to bother about being in a group, because that will not make any difference. Okay, the group as our activity will be scored, and that will be part of their exam assessment. So if you're part of the group and the group is scored and you're not going for certification, it doesn't make any difference. So don't bother your head if you're not going for certification. All right. Then please pay attention to when we are writing our test, and when we're expecting presentations. Now, by October 25th, presentation starts October 25th. October 31st, presentation ends. All presentation ends October 31st. November 1st, we're having our test. November 7th, we're having the exam. I'll repeat that again. October 25th, presentations start. So 25th and 31st is for presentations. And then November 1st, we have test. And November 7th, we have examination. Now, if you're going for examination, please do ensure that you complete your examination fee on or before November 7th. Okay, on or before November 7th. Important to note, if in any way a group did not make their presentations or did not submit their professional articles, they will not be allowed to write exam. If in a group no presentation was made, even if everybody in that group have paid for exam, they will not be allowed to write exam. And if after exam, you have 2 weeks after exam to submit your articles. If after 2 weeks, your articles were not submitted, even if you passed your exam, your certificate will not be released. So please, let's pay attention to these terms and conditions. Somebody will say, these terms and conditions, they are too hard. I will not pay for material. I will not pay for certificate. In fact, I will not write the exam. Please, the choice is yours. Our assignment is to provide the information. Your own assignment is to digest the information and use it as your decision-making tool. And that's why we are taking all the time to provide all of this. Okay. Then finally, or before the final one, for those of us that want to go for charter, we will share the link on charter. Please, if you're interested in, please don't just bother filling the form. If you're not going, don't just, there are people that as soon as you share form, they just fill, they don't even know what the form is for. If you're not going for charter, don't bother filling the form, so that we don't keep sending you email and disturbing you. So those that are going, they want to be chartered. Charter is coming directly from CIMC USA. It's not from IPM. It's from CIMC USA. So if you're going for charter, we'll pass the link and you express your interest and we'll give you all the information you need. And then as we continue this class, by next week, Saturday, we are going to have removals and we are going to have additions to the groupings that have been done. If between now and next week, Saturday, we cross-check and the people in the groups have not made commitment at least to get their materials, For anyone that have not made commitment up to material, we remove the name from the group. Then for anyone that has made commitment and has taken attendance today, by next week, Saturday, you'll get the updated list. So if we remove your name, please, it does not mean that you cannot accept or cannot access the class again. You can still come and access the class. But what it simply means is that you are not interested in certification, and we shouldn't force you to follow the processes that people going for certification should follow. And finally, while filling the attendance form, please ensure to state categorically how much you've paid, including the manual fees you've paid. So if you've paid for manual and examination, please state categorically. No matter the amount of money you've paid, please state it there. Don't separate them. Okay, don't say exam. How much have you paid? You say you've paid for exam, you've paid for this. No, don't write it that way. Just write the amount. Calculate all of them and write them at once. And also for any payment you're making to IPM, whether by transfer or by direct deposit to bank or by online payment, please make sure you keep all records. Please make sure you keep all records. Till you've collected your certification, make sure you keep all records till you've collected your certifications. All right? Okay, so at this juncture, I will say thank you. Please, Dr. Dave, just permit me for 5 minutes. If there is any concern in the areas I've mentioned, in the announcement I've made, there's something you did not understand, please, you can go ahead, raise your hand and let me clear it before handing over. Please, if there is any area that you did not understand right now, please, you can just raise your hand and ask your question, and I will answer them before handing over. I'm going to share the attendance now, but when you take the attendance, don't go. Keep up with your class. Because tomorrow now, somebody will say, I signed attendance, I did not show. Please be in class. All right, so it seems there is no question. Please, I'll be handing over back to Dr. David to continue with his class. Thank you so much for giving me your attention. Dr. Dave, please, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Well, welcome back. All right, the next lecture, I believe we can hear me very well. I believe you can hear me very well.
Yes, we can hear. I can hear you from here.
Okay. Please, if you can hear me very well, please, I want you to feed me back. Give me a feedback. Okay, Mr. Majid, thank you. All right. Okay. So the next lecture we want to look at is industrial security awareness. Industrial security awareness. All we have been saying since is that the safety and health of workers and environment is should be paramount. So I want to look at industrial safety awareness. Industrial security awareness, sorry. So we have 3 major security measures we'll be looking at during this in the course of this lecture. We have physical security measures, then we have personal security measures, then we have site security measures. We have physical security measures, we have personal security measures, and we have site security measures. All right. So what is security is of utmost importance to every organization and to everyone in every organization. Then the Advanced Learner Dictionary defines security as a measure taken to prevent spying, attacks, or theft of target. It's a measure put in place to prevent spying, attack, or theft of target. So a security man is therefore a person who guards a facility or who provides protection in public buildings, private homes, and corporate buildings, which are regarded as targets. Okay. In this program, we shall define security as the protection of organizational assets against identified risk. We shall describe security as the protection of organizational assets against identified risk. And we're talking about protection of organizational assets. It is not limited to just theft alone. Of course, accident is an identified risk to organizational assets. So we are still going to look at the measure to prevent accidents. Someone asked a question about fire issues in Lagos. It has become a very rampant one. And so we look at what we can do as individual, as an organization to protect assets. So this means that the risk to the asset must be identified before security could be provided. I was saying this last week, that most of the things we have been saying since, it has to do with identifying risk, identifying hazard, identifying unsafe conditions, identifying unsafe acts. So there must be identification before we can address, because before an address can be put across to threats to life or to operational health. So we have physical measures. Is the situation whereby a security operative is posted to a particular place or definite for the purpose of ensuring that the security objectives are achieved at a given purpose. So at a given time. So a situation where a security operative, a security man, or whoever is posted to a particular place or definite for the purpose of ensuring that the security objectives are achieved at a given time. So that's the physical measure. Then excuse me. Then we have access control. Under physical measure, we have access control. Men of women of transparent character are positioned strategically at entry point to a site or work location in order to control exits and entries. This is achieved by use of all or some of the following. To present exits and entries, to prevent unwanted people from gaining access to facilities and workplace premises. Then access control is one of the measures put in place, and this has to do with the screening of visitors that come in, the control of visitors that come in, then the reception of visitors that come into the facilities, the use of physical barriers like gates, other physical barriers. So the enforcement of wearing valid ID. Then, of course, for everyone, every organization should have valid ID card for his employees. So every employee must put on their ID card to be duly identified. And for visitors that will visit such facilities, they also have a tag they must put on to identify them, to spot them out as visitors. So movement monitoring with CCTV at a closed gate. Of course, every organization should have CCTV to monitor movement at the access gate. Then we have security patrol. This is necessary to first of all track down offenders who have gained entrance. It also creates awareness of security alertness and helps to deter crime. Security patrol is also one of the physical security measures put in place to make sure that access into facilities are controlled. So we have type of patrol. We have a fixed route patrol. We have semi-discretionary system patrol. We have a discretionary system patrol. Then we have abiding. We have fixed route. We have semi-discretionary system. We have discretionary system. We have abiding. All right. So we discuss them one by one. Okay, what is fixed route? This is a system by which a security personnel is detailed to patrol along a given area with fixed route and to arrive at a definite place at a definite time. It's a kind of patrol that is given to security personnel to take in a detail, is detailed to patrol along a given area from, let me give an example, from point A to point B, patrol from point A to point B, you go, you come back. Such security personnel goes to and fro from point A to point B, to and fro. So that is what we call fixed route patrol. Then we have semi-discretionary control. This is a security patrol system where a personnel is expected to be at a certain place at a certain time. Is expected to be at a certain place at a certain time. But between the period of his arrival at this spot where he's supposed to be, he may patrol his area at his own discretion. He uses his discretion to patrol. Though he is supposed to stand at point A, and so he can just walk to and fro at his own leading. He can just go and come back without being supervised. Or is such a person is not fixed to a particular route that you must go, you must come, but he has a point he's guiding, so he has the capacity and the power, authority to go around and make sure patrol is done at intermittently at his own discretion. Then we have discretional system. This is a patrol expected of this is the patrol at which a security personnel uses his own discretion and need not follow. He need not follow any route or any fixed point to be supervised by any. In other words, he uses discretion. The first one, semi-discretionary, has to do with he has a point he's guiding, so he uses his discretion to go around. This discretion has to do with he has no point he's guiding. It's just there. He uses discretion to stand at wherever he feel like. Using discretion to go around and patrol at any time he feel like without being supervised. Okay. Then we have Aberdeen. Aberdeen, this name is taken after a town in Scotland and is used where manpower is inadequate. It is used where manpower is inadequate. By this system, a patrol car conveys a number of men to a certain part of town or a certain part of company or facilities. The security personnel then leaves the vehicle and patrol the area at an arranged time. They are picked up and conveyed to another part of the town where the same procedure is followed in continuous round. So what are we saying here? This is a patrol system where security men are carried in a vehicle to a particular spot to make sure they maintain orderliness and make sure the security of facilities and products and people in such environment is taken care of by them. And after a particular time, which they have been detailed to spend, they also go back to the same bus or the same.
Sir, please, can you check your audio?
Truck, and they go down.
Hello, sir, can you check your audio?
To another place. Hello?
Can you check your audio, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
The audio is cracking.
I can hear you. Yours is cracking.
Okay, yo.